Hey guys, it's DuconRed1 and welcome to another Ardacraft Showcase video. Today we are going to be looking at a very special project by the Ardacraft team, and in addition, an iconic location in the Tolkien universe, that being Edoras, the capital city of Rohan. Today's Conquest Community Shoutout goes to HFranz. He is a talented YouTuber, streamer, and builder focusing on realism and high-quality content designed to help you learn. There is some great stuff on his channel, so go subscribe and help support our community. Now back to the video. And we are joined yet again today by Fornad, 10-year Conquest veteran, founder, owner, and project leader of this incredible server. So Fornad, why don't you tell us a little bit about your server and give us a breakdown of what we're looking at?
Well, welcome back to the server, Ducon. It's been a while and it's fantastic to have you back. As you say, I am the project leader, server administrator of Ardacraft, a project which seeks to recreate all of Tolkien's world, Middle-earth in Minecraft. We've been at it since 2014 and have built an enormous number of locations on our enormous map since then. But today we are at Edoras, which was the capital of Rohan and the location of the Great Golden Hall, Meduseld. Edoras was located at the mouth of the Harrowdale Valley at the feet of the White Mountains. And in fact, it was not the first capital of Rohan. That was at Aldberg to the east of Edoras. King Eorl the Young, who saved Gondor when he rode down from the far north and defeated an invading army, was granted the land of Rohan by Gondor as a reward about 500 years ago. He settled at Aldberg, and it wasn't until his son Brego became king that Meduseld was built and the capital was moved to Edoras. Before the front gates, there are a series of tombs, and this place is known as the Barrowfield. By the end of the Third Age, there were 2 rows of tombs for the kings, 7 in the first line, from Eorl the Young to Helm Hammerhand, and 9 in the second line, from Freolaf, the nephew of Helm, to Thengel, Theoden's father. There were flowers known as Symbolmyrna in the local language, and they grew on the western side of the tombs and were revered by the Rohirrim, the local people. Now, it's important to note that Edoras is only the largest of many settlements we've built in Rohan. This is an entire kingdom with hundreds of houses, tens of villages, farmsteads, mines, workshops, all sorts of things, and over 8,000 beds at our scale.
This is absolutely incredible, Fornad. The amount of effort that you guys have put into this project just is astounding. Now, one thing that I noticed right away is the farmlands around Edoras and in Rohan in general. You can really tell that they are an agricultural people. It's really quite fascinating.
Yeah, well, the farmlands are an interesting one because in the films, of course, when you watch the films, Edoras is kind of in the middle of this kind of open plain, and there's really nothing around the city. But of course, any medieval city would need to have farmlands around it. And so when we created Edoras, we looked at kind of medieval farming techniques, especially ones from the kind of early medieval period. And used those. You can see that there's an enormous amount of fields all around us. A lot of research goes into our farmland on Ardacraft, and we have an entire 40-page document which explains how the farming in this period worked. And as a result, it creates a very authentic look around Edoras.
Yeah, whenever I get on and I'm checking around the Edoras and Rohan, it's just something that's always amazed me is just seeing the sprawling farmlands. And I know that that can become very repetitive work for your builders, but ultimately the end result is just stunning.
Absolutely, yeah. And we, I think a lot of people's preconception of Rohan is that it's all kind of nomadic people. They all live out on the plains and kind of travel around in tents, and that's only true for a minority, in fact, of the population in Rohan. Most of them live a kind of more settled lifestyle closer to the mountains and live mostly in longhouses. Of course, the Rohirrim in particular are inspired by the Anglo-Saxons. In some ways, in fact, the relationship between Rohan and Gondor is quite similar to the barbarian allies of the Roman or Byzantine empires. Tolkien compared their armor to the mail seen on the Bayeux Tapestry, and in fact, he used Old English to represent their language, as it's meant to be related to the common tongue that most characters speak. So, really, there's a very strong Anglo-Saxon feel and sort of early medieval feel to all of these builds around here, and it generates a sense of kind of history and I suppose authenticity that you wouldn't get if you went with a more fantastical building style.
So Fornad, why don't you tell us a little bit about the defensive capabilities of Edoras? I'm noticing the walls are a little smaller than you would typically expect for a city this size.
Yeah, so the defenses of Edoras, as you've noticed, are fairly basic, with a ditch and a stone wall surmounted by wooden battlements. Now, this would deter raids, of course, but it wouldn't hold out long against a siege. But this is kind of by design. The Rohirrim preferred to fight their wars out in the field, as they could bring their greatest advantage, which was their heavy and light cavalry, to bear against the enemy.
Well, you can really tell that the walls are achieving their intended purpose. They are a barrier between the inhabitants of Edoras and the hooligans outside, so that's pretty much all that they need to do. So, one thing I want to know, Fornad, how are we going to get in there?
Well, here you go.
That is amazing. Holy cow. What is that? Is that command blocks or something?
That is, in fact, a plugin designed by one of our devs, and it's something that we've used in lots of important locations and hope to continue using in the future.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. I'm noticing, first off, when we walk into Edoras, is the fact that the environment is so spread out. Generally, in cities and towns, generally, the environment is much more condensed and clustered. So what's going on with that?
So with Edoras, and in fact with Rohan in general, the fields, the farms, everything, we try to preserve the kind of open look that people expect with Rohan, to give the sense of these wide open spaces that the land of Rohan is famous for. And so we wanted to not make the cities super cramped. We wanted to keep them nice and open, and it kind of preserves that kind of agricultural or rustic feeling that you should get from this place.
Well, I really like it, and I know that it's a really unique setting for this build, and it really makes it stand out. So I'm noticing there's a statue here. What is this?
So this is a statue of Rohan's one of Rohan's most famous kings, and his name was Helm Hammerhand. Now, some Dunlendings invaded Rohan 250 years ago, and because of its relatively weak defenses, they took Edoras, whilst the king, Helm Hammerhand, was defending Helm's Deep. And in fact, it wasn't called Helm's Deep at the time. It was called Sundberg or Sufberg, I think. It only became known as Helm's Deep after his heroic actions, in which he defended the castle over the winter and eventually died in its defense. And now, after the long winter, which had lasted 5 months, the nephew of Helm, called Freylaf, came out of Dunharrow, which is the valley behind us, and with a small band of men surprised Wulf, the leader of the Dunlendings, and regained the city of Edoras. And so Helm was forever after revered for his defense of Rohan and for his mighty punch, which once killed a man in a single blow.
And I noticed that when you talk about defense, you got spears and weapons all the way around this statue. Very fitting for a man of his stature and reputation.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and check around the city real quick, and I'll meet you up at Meduseld, all right?
Awesome, see you there.
Well, here we're at Meduseld. So Fornad, why don't you give us a little insight about this structure? What's the significance of it?
So this is Meduseld, the Golden Hall. This is the seat of the Kings of Rohan and has been for over 400 years. Viewers might remember this particular location from both the books and the films. When Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli arrive in Edoras, they are stopped here by the door warden and asked to hand over their weapons. And in fact, they do hand over all of their weapons except for Gandalf's staff, which he uses a little later on. But we'll go inside now and have a look. So here we are inside Meduseld, and in fact Meduseld really is kind of almost the quintessential Anglo-Saxon early medieval hall, but turned up to 11. So a lot of inspiration from Beowulf and the hall in that poem, and a lot of art and inspiration has been taken from this kind of period in history, and you can see that it really comes together quite nicely in here.
So if I remember correctly, this build was actually a contest entry, wasn't it?
That's correct. Yeah, we held a big contest for Meduseld as one of the most iconic buildings in Middle-earth. There were lots of entries, I think over 30 entries from memory, but this is the one that won out in the end, and I think it's deserving of its place.
Absolutely incredible architecture and fine craftsmanship. So I'm seeing some tapestries over here. Is there any history to them?
Oh yeah, there's loads of history. So the great thing about Meduseld is these tapestries really represent the history of Rohan. And I was talking about Helm Hammerhand earlier. This one in the middle shows Helm blowing his great horn, which signified the kind of doom of Rohan's enemies from the top of Helm's Deep. On the right here, we have Helm slaying Fracka with a single punch, and that is what started the Great War, which ultimately took Helm's life as well. But as you go around the hall, really there are tapestries that represent all sorts of different events in Rohan's history, from its earliest days up to relatively recently. Over here, you see Saruman on the left being given the keys to Orthanc by Gondor. And of course, Saruman, for many years, was a great friend and ally of Rohan until he turned to darkness later on.
I think this is the coolest thing. Having all of this history, all of this custom overlay that you guys have just adds such a nice value to your builds and your project overall. I'm noticing that there's this large tapestry hanging up here. What's this about?
So this is a very famous tapestry, and this depicts Eorl the Young, the first king of Rohan, as he rode over the river to the aid of Gondor at the Battle of Field of Celebrant. And this is something that's specifically commented on in the book. You'll see with your shaders that a single beam of light or a couple of beams of light fall upon it as at dawn. And in fact, that is exactly what the members of the Fellowship saw as they walked in here. They saw the light up this tapestry when everything else was dark around them. And it remained for a very sort of cinematic moment, I suppose.
So is there actually any like chambers in this build, or is it all just one big hall?
So it's all one big hall. This is something that Tolkien actually specifically commented on. There was a time when people wanted to adapt The Lord of the Rings back in, I think, the 60s, and there was a script that was sent to Tolkien, and he wasn't very happy with it. And one of the things he mentioned was that Theoden, the king of Rohan, wouldn't have his own private chambers. There would have been no concept of privacy, really, that we have today. Everyone would have slept in their, these big communal halls, and would have existed in a very kind of communal environment, even up to the king.
So Rohan, they take off somewhat of a Viking culture, correct?
Yeah, sort of Viking, Anglo-Saxon, sort of ancient Germanic. All these influences are going in here, and really this was the stuff that Tolkien studied. This was the history that Tolkien was most passionate about. So it's unsurprising to see all these influences kind of come together in this culture.
So I'm noticing that there's some banners back here. Are these the banners of Rohan?
Yes, so the one in the center, the green one with the white horse, that's the royal banner. But the other ones represent various regions of Rohan. So this one here on the left, I believe, is the Eastfold, another region of Rohan. On the right, the red one, we have the Westfold, again, another significant region. Here we have the Wold, this white one, which was a kind of open, more nomadic region of Rohan. And so you have, not only does Rohan have its own kind of unique culture in and of itself, but the various regions of Rohan have their own distinctive character and their own kind of regional identities, which again adds even more to this feeling of kind of realism and kind of authenticity that we always try to aim for.
Such an incredible build, and like I said, the history, the lore, and the fact that you guys are recreating Tolkien's universe is just an absolutely incredible feat that you guys have achieved. I mean, already the amount of builds that you have on this server is just testament to itself, the dedication that you and your server has to doing this project. So congratulations on this project, Edoras. Amazing.
Thank you very much, and thank you. I'll say thank you to all of the builders who helped create this place and make it a reality. Their skill is, it's well. They said this project is testament to their skill, really.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Fornad. We'll see you next time. Well, for those of you who want to see more, I have an exclusive, longer, and more detailed walkthrough video in the description below. I understand that there are reasons that some of you are not able to join the server, but you want to see more, and so now you have that option. For those of you who want to check out this incredible project for yourselves, again, in the description is a link to the Ardacraft website and Discord where information to join is readily available at your convenience. If you are unfamiliar with the Conquest Reforged mod, the mod that I'm using in this video, there is a link below as well to their website and Discord if you are interested in trying it out for yourself. That being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to bringing you more content in the future. Thank you for watching. Until the next time, bye-bye.